All right, let's go to Friday night. We've got three pretty interesting games, actually, on Friday night. We start with an ACC matchup. Yes, that sounds weird. I'm still getting used to saying an ACC matchup involving Stanford taking on Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. Syracuse, 9.5-point home favorites, 57 being the total in this game. I was very impressed with Syracuse and their home win against Georgia Tech just a couple of weeks ago. Played a really strong game. They're off a bye week. So is Stanford. So there is no advantage either way. Both teams coming off a bye. Stanford, they lost 34-27 at home to TCU, but they covered the number thanks to that last minute field goal that they kicked to get inside the number in that loss to the Horned Frogs. Then they bounced back at home and whipped Cal Poly 41-7. Syracuse, though, like I said, 2-0 to start the year. Ohio and Georgia Tech, the two home wins. Ohio, they looked a little leaky on defense. Georgia Tech, I thought they played better on defense, although in the fourth quarter they kind of fell asleep with the big lead. Georgia Tech got back into that game, but a little bit too late. Syracuse was able to hang on for the 31-28 win. Definitely impressed with the Ohio State transfer, Kyle McCord at quarterback. He's definitely played well for the Cuse early on. You know what I find with Syracuse? They just look like they have a lot more talent, just a lot better players. You know, sometimes it's really that simple. And I think Fran Brown, the new head coach, has done a nice job. He's clearly recruited better players than what Dino was bringing in here to Syracuse, because I find they got more team speed. I find they've got more game breakers. They got more weapons on offense. Yeah, the defense is still in work in progress, but I like LaQuint Allen. This Oronde Gadsden, man, at receiver for Syracuse, he's something else. He's a really good receiver. So that's clearly going to be an issue for Stanford, probably having to defend him on the perimeter. He's a tremendous receiver. Stanford, we still, I think on offense, there's a lot to like. It's Ashton Daniels at quarterback. I think a guy that's growing into the role, getting better, dual threat. He can run with the football as well. I think they've definitely got some weapons. Ayamanor, of course, at receiver for this team as well. So keep an eye on that. Tiger Bachmeyer. There's definitely some guys that can catch the football here for Stanford. I think their O-line's a lot better. How good is the defense? That's probably still the question mark that we have about Stanford. They did struggle in that second half against TCU, and that's when the Horned Frogs got it going in the second half. Stanford had a really tough time slowing them down and stopping them in that game. So that would be the concern for me. Obviously, look, it's a West Coast to East Coast travel. These are the kind of situations you're going to have now for Stanford and Cal in this conference. But again, CMAC, it's off a bye week. So if they had played last week, this would be a worse spot. This is not as bad for Stanford from a travel situation, considering they have the bye week coming into this game. So they do get that extra time to really get themselves situated here in upstate New York for this Friday night game. I'm tempted by Stanford. I think they're going to be one of those teams that's capable of hanging around. We saw them cover as dogs at home against TCU. I'm still a little bit, got to see more from Syracuse. I think they're very good on offense. I still think I have to see a little bit more on defense from the Cuse before I'm ready to lay almost double digits. So I lean Stanford. I also lean over here in this game on Friday night. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, real quick on that last game. Why the over so much too? You mentioned the pace of play and the snaps plays per game. 7th was South Alabama, and 20th, and App State 7th. So yep. When I saw that the last few weeks, it's worked really well. Defenses in the bottom tier, and then tempo of the offenses top. You know what I mean? It's just a good way to look at it with that over. Yeah, let's get to this one. Both teams off bye weeks here, Bavano. So they've had plenty of time. Yep. Stanford had that game against Cal Poly, easy win. They're not very good, 41-7. And they hung around. I think they can hang around here. I like Syracuse. That's the key. Are they good enough right now, the defense, to lay doubles at home? I kind of lean Syracuse. I just don't know if I trusted them that much. They got the big win, Georgia Tech. I was on them. And kind of the last few touchdowns, that was 31-14 until about the fourth quarter. But they gave up some junk points. And, Haynes King still was able throw it around a little bit, 266 and a touchdown. But McCord, great again, 381, 4 touchdowns, and he should carve up Stanford. Secondary, dead last year against the pass, this team.
That's the concern. Syracuse pass offenses look great. It's probably their strength. They gave up 353 through the air to Josh Hoover and TCU in that first game, Stanford. Yeah, that secondary.
It seems like this is 350 for sure. Maybe team total here then. I mean, I kind of lean to the over.
If you're in a player prop, C-Mac, take McCord over passing yards on Friday night. That's probably good.
I'm sure it's going to be high, but yeah, take a look at that. It seems like he's going to get there. I thought, too, the total was a few points too low at this number, just because what we've seen, and a lot of these games have ended up 59 for Syracuse and Georgia Tech.
It's a key number, 31-28. That was the score of the Syracuse-Georgia Tech game, 31-28, 59 points.
Yeah, 59. You get those key numbers, 59, 52, 51, where they land on right there, 54. So I think Syracuse is the side. I kind of lean to this over a little bit. Maybe I just think Syracuse defense could maybe stepped up just at home, ready for Stanford here. I like Daniels. There's not enough. Stanford was just not that good of a dog last year. They got it done for me against TCU. That was at home, and that game slipped over. I think we just look, if you don't want to lay it, I kind of like the over or just the Syracuse when we get their team total. It seems like they're going to at least get here mid-30s on the Stanford defense. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. It's very interesting because you mentioned how in the last game, too, with South Bama and App State, how they're top, in the top 10, top 20 in plays per game, yet they're not even top 25 in plays per minute. So what I'd like to see is, stats that balance the two, because plays per game does matter, but plays per minute is actually a very, very good statistic.
What do you have them on the minute here? I got to hit it in. What do you have them on the plays per minute?
Plays per minute, I got them closer to like 29th, 30th, both of those teams. That's still like upper half.
Still pretty good.
Football. Yeah. Exactly.
That works. I like to see that. Yeah, top 40, top 30. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt. So you got to look at both because plays per game it's still a good stat. It's still a good metric to use.
It's showing you're playing fast. Yeah.
Plays per minute, I think, is even just a touch more accurate because it shows you how quickly you're snapping the ball, how quickly you're getting up to the line of scrimmage and running the next play. So I like to look at both of them and then kind of like an average of both plays per game, plays per minute, as far as talking about pace and tempo for all of these college football offenses.